Are you ready, Linda? Okay. My concern is that if it were members of other public agencies, that would suffice in the public vetting process, then I completely agree with you. I don't think that you're going to be able to assert a process that avoids either that something relative to the public in some way. I mean, in activist, as you pointed out, Commissioner Bernardo, or else the process will be the target. The facts who you can feel good about signing the confidentiality form. But it's going to have to be somebody that has that hybrid ability to be able to have this tie-in with these groups, but still we can trust to be confidential. And that's what is that kind of the hybrid, the difficulty of this situation. But I think we can find some people that would be okay with that. That's what I'm proposing.
From a process perspective, I mean, I've always, in my mind, saw different, to echo Commissioner Parravano, more than 2 rounds of vetting and interviews. I mean, for example, in my mind, okay, I'm just making this up, but the first would be the community, where we would have representatives from Oyster Point interests, Pillar Point interests, and a few others in the county, okay? So that would be your first vetting group. Whoever makes it through that round would go then to another round, which would be your general managers of ports. And I'm just making this up. Like, for example,
15 candidates, and narrows them down to 6.
Why would we?
Why are we giving them the first guy? What I would like to suggest is that both the public, the community leaders, and the members of, let's say, the technical equal job roles, they assign numbers to the candidates, and then from that goes down to your 6 or 3, whatever. After that step of equal consideration and scrutiny, then it gets down to 3, and then that's what comes in front of the commission.
So combine those 2?
Yeah, combine the process of those 2.
The lead, community, and technical.
Because there might be some attributes and skills that the technical people would be able to identify, whereas the community leaders, you kind of want to balance any type of bias or baggage or.
When the phone is running again, the video is running again, maybe you can restate that for the video.
And then maybe even not be a bad idea to vote on it.
Okay.
Well, I would recommend also, you probably, I don't know if you want to do this amongst your committee, but to establish the number of people on the panels.
Okay.
The more you can control out of the gate, then you're not burdened with, oh, let's add another one or delete this one. And I would recommend that for both the technical and also the community lead.
Here's what is on the table. The committee will see candidates, will narrow the candidate field, however large it is, down to somewhere between 8 and 15 people. Those 8 to 15 will go before a community representation group of 5 individuals selected by the committee who have agreed to hold those interviews confidential. And they will take that 8 to 15 down to 5 or 6. Those 5 or 6 candidates would then go to the technical committee, which is 3 individuals that have technical, similarly technical jobs in the harbor marina business. And they will take that 5 to 6 down to 2 or 3. Those 2 or 3 would then go to the full commission for a selection process. At the end of that selection process, the hope would be that one would be selected to continue through now a contractual negotiation.
Okay, just before that.
Technical.
No, the 3.
The 2 to 3 would go for the whole.
Okay, then the commission gets to.
Yeah, the whole commission.
Okay, right. Then we do a vote.
Right.
Okay. Ms. Tribe, are you ready Do you have forms available for ranking?
I have some forms available for ranking, but
That's also
each of these will be a little
very
different. They'll be
Yes.
customized, and I'll meet with each of these committees as they go into this process just before, so that we have a general agreement over how it's going to work.
Okay.
So they'll have some.
Because that for
Let them talk
the,
about the process.
to help the committee.
Sure.
That way they have some sort of credibility with the form.
Especially the community, I may, if possible, if they can, I'd meet with them even prior to the day, so that we could talk about what process they'd like to see and they feel comfortable with, and let them kind of determine their own, and then I would just go ahead and make up the forms for them and be with them during that time. Or not, if they choose, whatever they choose.
And if I may, for this part, and I know that this is really getting into the weeds here, but from my experience, the panels themselves will have very different questions, in the sense of the community panel tends to be community-related questions. You know, sort of like conflict, like what would you do if kind of question, you know, that types of. Whereas the technical ones would be more budget, administrative kind of questions, you know, things like that. So there is a separation in terms of questions that the different panels are going to ask. And then, of course, as commissioners, we basically will ask whatever we want.
And the hope would be to have enough to exercise the process well. And starting out, that we have enough qualified candidates to even consider for this process. Confidentiality throughout, though. That's what's critical.
Then there is one more question that I hate bringing up, but so the board is interviewing 2 to 3 candidates and has to make a decision probably that night, the same night.
Not necessarily, no. That can be a day or two. Oftentimes there's a number of different assessment methodologies. Interviewing is one of them, and there are other ways that that commissioners can have time with those candidates, and there are different means by which to assess the candidates. You don't only have to stick with interviews. Is that what you meant, though?
Yeah, like we won't be able to, like after that final round of interviews, before a contract is issued or worked on, we cannot guarantee the confidentiality.
That's up to you. I think what was proposed here is that you should, and that is certainly the.
I would like to, but we have to make that clear, because now we've said we'll do it until the full board interview.
Okay, because of the public process that we've now talked about, the assertion is then, because of that, the public's had their vetting process, then we should be able to assert confidentiality all the way through to announcement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds good.
It's a lot of forms, confidentiality forms that have to be signed.
And those forms are public records in some respects. I'm trying to think furiously. To be perfectly candid, I have never experienced a recruiting process that looks anything like this, so I'm busy trying to think of that's why I'm sort of deferring to Brent that he's comfortable with this. The goals you're expressing are laudable. I can imagine, just from my legal perspective, I can imagine some potentially rocky shoals in achieving those goals.
It doesn't sound that different from the interview process that you described for the Port of Oakland, though.
Right. I mean, it's actually mirrors, and also I'm just thinking of other interview situations where I've served on panels. Like I said, I've served on panels with the Port of San Francisco, and it's similar, actually. Because I was on the technical panel.
It's similar to the point that this particular position is highly scrutinized by a broad number of people for a broad number of reasons, in a way that I've never experienced either. And to the degree that if you don't try to respect what's being asserted there, as well as try to get through a process, it's a balance point. That's why we're struggling, I think. Normally, it's a much more straightforward process. But we're trying to broaden this and open this up enough that all groups feel respected in it to the degree possible, yet maintain the integrity of the process. And that's why it's different. I share the concern about its ability to survive all the way through the end. We'll do our best.
We have to be optimistic, folks.
Yeah.
We have to be,
So now we have
otherwise.
to try to fit this into a motion.
Before we finish this,
Oh, was there more?
on the advertisement?
Oh,
The advertisement. If I can suggest something, Mr. Eisen, the area of the Great Lakes,
Oh, okay.
because kind of chuckle when you said that Florida has not been responding. I think they got a lot of sunshine and warm weather, and people in the Great Lakes don't have the luxury of a nice warm winter.
It's not, and I understand, you're right, that's a good point, and I've got that written down. This is still pretty wide open, this is our initial thoughts on it, but I like your thinking there.
There's a lot of harbors around.
It's about whether or not there's a place to advertise and somebody, and a publication that's used to advertising jobs. If, sometimes in some of these, we're actually asking them if they'll add that to what they normally do.
I sent you American Association of Port Authorities.
I had that on my list.
Yeah, because they have a
APA.
website for employment, and that's North America and South America, and Europe gets covered in there too.
All the port, it's the
Yeah.
American Association
And
of
it's not
Port
just,
Authorities.
yeah, and it's not just ports, ports have marinas, so there's a lot of them, and it's all through the Midwest and everything too.
We allow the committee to create a process that will include community leaders, technical experts to narrow the field of, allow the search committee to create a process that includes community leaders, technical experts,